I'm Kate Marsh, and this is Mr. Moorhead's biology class. Let's begin today with a question. Why is everyone sick all the time? The way we answer this question leads to lots of other questions like, is it because everyone around me at school is sick? Are we all just prone to colds all the time? Are there a bunch of hard tests this week?
Psst, Kate, I think there's a DETA test today.
That would probably be it, other Kate. But regardless of the test flu, we all actually get sick sometimes. So let's talk about how we defend ourselves from illness. The immune system is the body's main defense system against bacteria, viruses, and other attackers. The major functions of the immune system are to protect the body from disease, as well as to find and exterminate mutated or cancerous cells. In this video, we will go over how they make that happen later. But first, let's talk about some of the parts of the immune system and what their individual functions are. The epidermis is the outermost layer of skin, and lets these pathogens find an open hole in the skin, such as the mouth, nose, or eyes. It provides a waterproof barrier and keeps out any bacteria or viruses that land directly on you. Then we have the cilia, the tiny hair-like cellular structures, which move in a wave-like motion, will waft the microbes and dust particles up to the throat, where they are either coughed out or sneezed out. Next, the thymus functions in order to create antibodies. Antibodies are proteins that prevent pathogens from entering or damaging cells by binding to them, stimulate the removal of pathogens by coating them with enzymes, or trigger destruction of pathogens by stimulating other immune responses. These immune responses are mostly different types of leukocytes, or white blood cells. These white blood cells are made in bone marrow and protect the body against infection. If an infection develops, white blood cells attack or destroy the bacteria, virus, or other organism causing it. Different types of white blood cells include phagocytes, cells that protect the body by ingesting harmful foreign particles, or lymphocytes, cells that are found in lymph, which is an interstitial fluid in the body. The three types of lymphocytes are T cells, B cells, and natural killer cells. T cells are distinguished from other lymphocytes by the specialized T cell receptor molecule that is located on the surface of the cell. This molecule is important in immunity because it recognizes antigens and is able to bind to them. B cells get their name because they mature in the bone marrow of humans. These cells are distinguished from other lymphocytes by the B cell receptor, which is their surface protein, which is specialized to recognize and attach to specific antigens. Natural killer cells are cytotoxic, which means that they have the ability to kill other cells. They're able to recognize virally infected cells, as well as some types of tumor cells, and kill them before they cause lots of harm to the body. Now, let's go to Jenny, who will talk about the 3 lines of defense.
Now that we've gone over the components of the immune system, let's talk defense. And yes, the dog does have shades. First, we have the skin. The skin, the largest organ of our body, consists of thick layers of dead cells. Our skin has a protective layer on the surface, also known as the acid mantle, which is made up of fatty acids that is excreted from the skin. The first layer, the epidermis, allows us to filter out microbes, dust, and pollutants. The second layer is called the dermis. The dermis contains tough connective tissue as well as hair follicles, and also sweat glands that secrete oils. These sweat glands help us purge the toxins concealed in our pores. The third layer is called the hypodermis. The hypodermis, also known as the subcutaneous layer, is composed of cells specialized in storing fats. Other ways to get rid of toxins are defecation, urinating, and vomiting. Next, we have the motile or moving cilia. They're found in the respiratory tract and middle ear. Cilia keep the airways clear of mucus and dirt, which allows us to breathe with ease. Next, we have gastric acid, also known as stomach acid, which plays a significant role in killing harmful bacteria and parasites that are ingested into your body. It also signals pepsin to break down food and further the digestive process. Now we have the phagocytes. The phagocytes are types of white blood cells that engulf and digest foreign substances. After the substance has been taken in, the enzymes begin to break down the microbe. Then the phagocyte uses the nutrients and leaves the rest behind as antigenic material. Finally, it's released by exocytosis. Now we have the T4 cells that are divided into 4 groups: the T helper cells, the T killer cells, the T regulatory cells, and finally the T memory cells. The T helper cells have 2 key tasks: releasing lymphokines, which are messenger substances, and stimulating the production of antibodies. As the T helper cells release the lymphokines, an alarm is signaled to inform the immune system that there are pathogens in your body. The second group of T cells are known as T killer cells, also referred to as cytotoxic cells. They directly destroy the bacteria that have been infected by a virus or that have become carcinogenic. Then there are T regulatory cells. Regulatory cells have an opposite function in comparison to the T helper cells. While the T helper cells stimulate the production of antibodies, the T regulatory cells inform the immune system to decelerate the speed of making antibodies after the pathogen has been destroyed. Finally, the last group of T cells are called the memory cells. Just as the name presumes, these cells can memorize information about the pathogen so that they'll be able to act immediately in case the same pathogen enters the system again. Next, we'll explain what antigens are. Antigens are toxins that serve as a stimulus to produce immune response. B cells sometimes mature into plasma cells, which then produces these antibodies to fight off diseases. These antibodies, which are Y-shaped, have specific binding sites to the markers of the antigens. Think of it as a key in a lock. Now it's time to pass the mic to Lauren.
Hi, I'm Lauren Rose Wilson. Today I will be discussing epidemics and vaccines. So there are various major epidemics, but the ones we are talking about today are HIV/AIDS in sub-Saharan Africa, the Black Death in Europe, and smallpox in North America. So, to begin, HIV or human immunodeficiency virus is a virus that causes acquired immune deficiency syndrome or AIDS within 15 years about 75% of the time. HIV is spread through the exchange of bodily fluids with someone else who has the disease and initially causes flu-like symptoms such as fever and sore throat, however is later asymptomatic. AIDS, on the other hand, destroys lymphocytes, resulting in an inability for your body to fight off infection. It is believed to have come from the Democratic Republic of the Congo in the 1920s as a result of human blood contamination from the chimpanzee disease SIV or simian immunodeficiency virus. By the 1970s, it became a major epidemic in sub-Saharan Africa, and in 2013, an estimated 24.7 million people were living with HIV in sub-Saharan Africa, accounting for 71% of the global total. The next major epidemic we will talk about is the Black Death or bubonic plague in Europe. The bubonic plague often caused symptoms such as buboes, pus-filled lumps, often near the groin, neck, and underarms. This was followed by vomit and fever, infection of the lymph nodes, and the victim usually died within a week. Most agree that it originated from China from the bacteria Yersinia pestis and was carried through the Silk Road by infected but asymptomatic rodents. Fleas transmitted the disease to humans. The Black Death had a few significant outbreaks, but the major was an epidemic which spread across almost all of Europe within the years 1346 to 1353. The plague killed 30 to 60% of the entire European population, 75 million people in Western Europe alone, and 18,000 in London over the course of 3 years. It has been described as the worst natural disaster in European history. The final epidemic we will be discussing is smallpox in North America. Smallpox causes flu-like symptoms, the most dangerous one being fever, and also causes a rash with contagious blisters full of the disease, which is largely how the disease is spread. Smallpox is thought to have originated as long ago as 3,000 years in India or Egypt and caused many significant outbreaks. Smallpox was brought to the Americas in 1520 from a Spanish ship carrying an infected African slave. Although there were many smallpox outbreaks that overall resulted in the death of 90% of the Native American population throughout North American history, the one we will focus on today is from 1775 to 1782 during the Revolutionary War. This outbreak took a toll on both the colonists and the indigenous populations and killed around 145,000 people. Where the epidemic started is unknown, but it hit the major cities of Boston, New Orleans, and traveled all the way to the Pacific coast. Almost every native tribe suffered, including the Shoshones and Pueblos in present-day New Mexico. In West Washington, 11,000 out of 37,000 Native Americans died. Next, we'll be talking about vaccines. So vaccines work by inserting a small amount of the disease doctors are trying to prevent into the body to mimic an infection. The immune system reacts as it would to the disease, producing specified T and B lymphocytes and antibodies to fight the infection. Sometimes a vaccine may cause slight symptoms as the body fights it, but after the infection is gone, the T and B lymphocytes remain so that if the disease enters the body in the future, the immune system will already have the tools to fight it, making you immune. 3 common viruses that have vaccines are whooping cough, measles, and mumps.
Next, we will be talking about how the immune system interacts with the integumentary system, the circulatory system, and the lymph system. So the immune system uses the integumentary system, or skin, as its first line of defense. We have cells and compounds on your skin that help kill bacteria. The circulatory system consists of the blood vessels and heart. It is a major pathway used by immune cells to travel throughout the body. The lymph system is also responsible for the transportation of immune signals throughout the body. Lymphocytes like T cells, B cells, and natural killer cells are mainly transported through the lymph system, which is where they got the name lymphocytes.
And next, we will be moving on to Emma.
Host defense antimicrobial peptides, also known as AMPs, are key components of the innate immune system in plants, microorganisms, animals, and mammals. AMPs are made from amino acids and have a rapid killing effect, killing seconds after initial contact with the cell membrane. The presence of amino acids and structural motifs in AMPs give the peptide unique structural properties that attribute for their specific mode of action, allowing them to adapt to each organism's needs. Specifically, plant antimicrobial peptides are active against phytopathogens, in addition to bacteria pathogenic to humans. Plant AMPs share characteristics with other families of AMPs, such as a positive charge, the presence of disulfide bonds which stabilize the structure, their molecular forms, and amphipathic nature. The innate immune system in humans and plants began with many similarities. However, plants and humans deviated as plants lacked antibodies, phagocytes, and lymphocytes. But there are commonalities in the defensive mechanisms by both plants and humans, such as their identification, which focuses on identifying molecules recognized as signs of infections, and the receptors that mediated such recognition. Stress can affect your mental health, but did you know that it could also negatively affect your immune system as well? Stress can lead to increased levels of cortisol, a hormone that is essential to the overall function of the body, and too much of this can lead to many health problems, such as decreased immunity. Our immune system can also go awry when it overreacts to false alarms or attacks its own self. For example, allergic reactions are basically our immune system responding to a harmless allergen it perceives as a threat. The symptoms can range from a runny nose to hives to fainting. Unfortunately, there are situations when our immune system destroys its own healthy tissues because our white blood cells cannot distinguish between pathogens and normal cells. This is called autoimmune disease, and there are over 80 different types. Out of the 8% of the US population diagnosed with this disease, 80% are women. The cause is unknown, but it is believed to have a strong genetic component, with women in their childbearing years having a higher risk. Ironically, being too clean can inhibit your immune system from properly functioning. By minimizing foreign pathogens, you can unintentionally minimize the good bacteria in your environment. You can also minimize the development of your immune system because how would you build immunity and the proper antibodies if you're never exposed? Lastly, this may sound pretty gross, but our skin secretes antibacterial substances when we sleep so that we don't wake up with a layer of mold growing on our skin. Through this process, the colonization of pathogens is discouraged.